Hey, welcome everybody to another Tuesday Live.
Hi, everybody.
I am your host, Joe, and I got backup. I got my girl with me today.
Backup.
Got my
You're
girl.
my backup.
Well, I am your backup, right? I tell everybody she's the boss, and that's true. That rings true even to this day, y'all. So today's topic, we got some really cool stuff that we're going to go over. And I've got to say, probably one of my favorite things to go over is analyzing creative finance deals. And that's a topic I will tell you, it's got to be the biggest one, right? Because we already told you all how to generate off-market leads for free by using Facebook groups. But right now in this market, guys, we could be getting them from everywhere. The market's changing, interest rates have gone up, and people are trying to figure out how to sell their house, right? So finding these creative deals, I'm not going to say is easier than ever, but we started doing this in 2016, and it's been easier than for us. It's been easier now than it has been forever. A lot of times putting your house on the market, selling opening weekend for multiple offers over asking is not happening anymore, right? So when we're getting these creative finance deals and we have a seller say yes, here's the one thing I've been sharing with our own team, even many of the clients that we work with for a long time, is just because a seller says yes, that does not mean it's a great deal. Doesn't mean it's a good deal. Sometimes it could be a really, really bad deal too. So we're going to talk about that today. And how I'm going to do that, I know when you do podcasts and things like that, you're not really supposed to date the time of all this stuff, but we're going to go over current deals that we're making. Because for me, I look at current deals, and I think that's going to give the biggest pulse to what's happening in the market and what we're working on. So some of the deals that we're working on right now, we have a deal. The one you probably heard about it in New York State, upstate New York. And this is a topic that's been really hot right now. Is if I have a seller who says yes to seller financing, but they need to get a mortgage right away, how do I make that work? Right. So I'll give you the little background of the deal. Found this one, actually found it right in the MLS. I don't like doing that typically because my cost of entry is higher, right? I have to pay a realtor commission. I got to pay closing costs, maybe give a little something to the seller. And if I got to put a lot of cash up front into the deal, that's usually the number one thing to kill creative finance deals. So when I'm analyzing a creative finance deal and somebody brings me a deal, the first thing I'm always going to know is how much cash do I need to make that deal happen? So when you're analyzing creative finance deals, number one, what's my cost of acquisition? Right. And if it's a high cost of acquisition, I mean, I have got some folks, you talk to a seller and they tell you, I'll sell you my house for 400,000, but I need $100,000 down. That's 25% down. That's a high cost of acquisition. And for me, if I got to put 25% down just to buy a deal, where's the win for us? Right. And that's where I'm going to look at when I look at a creative finance deal. Where's the win for us, the buyer? And there's many times where I ask the seller, if you were my partner going to give me the $100,000 for this deal, would you do the deal with me? Right. So I'm going to look at how much cash do I have to come up with to buy the deal. Number two, what's my exit strategy? Am I going to rent this? Well, then if that's the case, what can I rent it for versus what my payment is? Do I have a big spread? And many times you're going to find, especially in this market, somebody has a house and they bought it and they got a 7% interest rate. They just bought it. They might not cash flow. So on some of those deals, when they need a big chunk of money down on a property that doesn't cash flow, guys, I pass on those deals. And some of these are beautiful houses that we want to buy. We want to buy them, but we pass on those, right? Because there's no cash flow. They need a lot of money down. So the kiss of death for me are typically those deals. But the deal in New York we're going to talk about is one where the seller wants to sell it. She bought the house a year and a half ago. Met some gentleman, moved in with him an hour away. They're creating a family of their own. Well, now that this house is sitting here vacant, they want to sell it. House is put on the market by a realtor. They put right in the comments that the seller has a 2.8 interest rate that's assumable. I was like, well, geez, I better talk to that realtor, see if they'd be open to seller financing if I could buy it on terms with a wrap mortgage. So I explained to the realtor, it's like me assuming the loan, but I'm not going through the assumption paperwork. I don't have to go through the bank approval. I could buy it, keep the loan in the seller's name, and be able to take advantage of that low payment and low interest rate. Guys, we made that deal. Why? Because I love a 2.8 interest rate on a turnkey house. The payment's $1,350 a month, and we could rent it for $2,000 a month. And in this market, it's so hard to find a cash flowing deal. Well, if an interest rate at 2.8, you're going to have a much better luck than at 6-7%, right? So when I find a deal and I find out that the interest rate is sub 4%, these are hot buttons for me. Now, many of you know we were at a real estate meetup here in Tampa just 2 weeks ago. We were around probably 200 to 300 of some of the best real estate investors in the country. When I'm talking about, like, all the big names were there, all the big names were there. They were all there. And there was a lot of great presentations that were going on, from money lenders to, I mean, all different types of things. And one thing I will say that stood out to me, which was still no surprise, was one of our first coaches and one of the Mount Rushmore real estate investors, Ron the Grand, was there. And Ron the Grand was taking notes like you could not believe.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Again, he did the same thing last year.
He did. He took a boatload of notes. And the one thing that I was really impressed by Ron is he's 77 years old. He is highly successful. He's bought thousands of these deals. What is a guy like Ron taking notes for at an event like this? So we sit down with his team after, and we were chatting with them because he comes with like 4 or 5 other people to all also take notes, and they collaborate about what they're going to implement in their business. When I was talking to his team about it, and they're like, there's some things before that we learned that we just kind of got away from. There was a good reminder that we need to start doing that again. Sometimes you're picking up new techniques. So guys, here's like the godfather of real estate still learning at 77 years old. So that was a huge inspiration to me and many others to realize that no matter where you are, you're always a student. You're really never going to, hopefully one day you feel like you kind of mastered it, but you're always learning. And this business is always changing. So stay humble, be a student forever. But the nitty gritty about real estate kind of doesn't change much, right? We're looking for deals that work. So our deal up in New York, the seller, when I asked them about buying it with seller financing, with buying it on a wrapped mortgage, I asked the realtor a really important question. And that question is, if I buy it with a wrapped mortgage, with seller financing, how soon is your seller going to buy another property? Well, the realtor reaches out and says, she's not going to buy a property relatively soon. Down the road, she's going to, because she's expecting and she's living with her boyfriend. They're an hour outside of town. And so they're probably not going to buy anything for a while. Because if she wants to turn around and buy a property right away, when you buy with a wrapped mortgage, well, that loan still stays on her credit report, right? And you have to make 12 payments in order for them to help wipe away some of that debt so they could get qualified for the new mortgage. So I said, that's fine. If she's not going to buy it in less than a year and going to have a baby first and all that, let's buy it as a wrapped mortgage. So we sent it all to the attorney's office, getting ready to close. And then the realtor calls me up panicking one day. And she says the seller decided that she wants to start buying a house now. And the mortgage person says that she can't qualify because that mortgage is still in her name. So guys, simple, easy peasy fix. Nothing scary happened. All we did is we wrote it up as a lease purchase. We just changed the paperwork. We're still doing the deal, right? It actually made it less expensive for us to get into the deal because we changed it as a lease purchase to where now I control the property with just my lease contract, because a loan officer can use a lease agreement as income immediately. You don't have to make 12 payments, like if I buy it on a wrap. So if you're working with a seller that needs to get a house right away, if you're going to do it with creative finance, I buy it with a lease purchase initially. So I'm leasing it so they could use that lease agreement to help with the income and their debt ratios in order to get qualified right away. Now, when our seller buys her new property and they close on it, that's where I will then close on her house with a wraparound mortgage like we talked about. So if it's, say, 60 days from now, I'll just rent it for the next 60 days with the option to buy it. The neat thing about this, guys, I don't have to come up with closing costs now for the next 60 days or 90 days, whatever that is. I don't have to come up with the realtor's commission yet. I don't have to come up with any of that money yet. And I already control the house now. So now we're starting to show it right away for rent to own. And hopefully we'll find a renter who wants to do rent to own, who's got a large non-refundable option deposit. So then when we go to close in 60, 90 days, I'm going to probably use that money to cover the closing costs and all the fees, right? So when I'm analyzing the deals, the biggest barrier is cost of entry to every one of us. But I also look at a few other things too. So number one, cost of entry, got to be important. I think we might even have that checklist on our website. If not, I could get it put up there.
Or we could just have it emailed out.
Yeah, or we could have it emailed out. If you need it, just send us a message. Number two, what we do is I'm going to look at my monthly spread. What am I renting it for? What's the market rent for versus what I'm going to be paying out per month? I need to see a monthly spread in there. It could be $300. It could be $500. It could be 1,000 or more. Many of them we have that are over 1,000 a month, and I've got some that are just a few hundred. But I don't mind a few hundred because my renters are responsible for all of the maintenance, repairs, and utilities because they're doing rent to own. So that's a win for us, right? But the next thing is, do I also get any free equity? Free equity, what does that mean? Well, did I buy a house that's worth $250,000? The seller's selling to me for $200,000 because they want a quick, easy sale. Guys, we run into these situations all of the time, literally all of the time. We closed on one last week in Clearwater, Florida. We're going to do what we call creative flip on. A creative flip means we buy it with seller financing, creative finance, and instead of keeping it for a 10-year term, 20-year term, renting it out, stuff like that, we're going to buy it. We just clean it out, and then we put it right in the market and we sell it right away. The one in Clearwater we're buying it for $260. The realtor says we can conservatively sell it for $375. So if we do fix and flips, I don't want to do major jobs, but this is one where terms doesn't work long term, but they will do short terms, right? We got the same thing going on in Connecticut, same exact situation. And then once in a while, guys, the way we generate leads, you're going to find some leads where they just won't do seller financing, but you might get a really, really big discount on the property, right? Where a cash offer could work. Now, when we buy a deal on cash, you have a few options. You could wholesale that if you don't have the cash from another investor. You could borrow the money if you needed to from a hard money lender. We're going to get a really good one on here who I met at our mastermind. Some of these new guests that we're going to have that we met at this family mastermind, guys, you are in for a treat. So who needs a money lender in here? Right? I see some hands going up. I see some people nodding. Well, we have some that's like basically the match.com for money lenders. So we're going to have him in here explaining what that looks like and how that process works. Really, really cool stuff. And I'm excited to share that with this community because who doesn't need some extra money in their lives? So we're going to bring that on for you guys. His name's Chris Nagel, great dude. But when we're doing some of these deals, we're finding some of them, like we're closing on one in South Carolina. We're buying it for 100,000 even, but the seller won't do seller financing. He needs his equity. He needs it for something else he's doing. But he says, I'm giving you this place for a huge discount, and I hope you guys make a lot of money. It's a 2015 mobile home. I sent a realtor to do a walkthrough who had some sales in the area. I just looked up on Zillow who had some recent sales, called up the guy. He answered. I said, hey, I saw you sold this 2 mobile homes in the area. I'm buying this one. He says, I know the area. Let me do a walkthrough for you. Does a walkthrough for free. Says, Joe, if you put 10,000 into this property, he doesn't know what we have under contract for. He says, but Joe, if you buy this property for 100 and put 10,000 into it, you could sell it for 199, list it. And there's just a shortage of properties that are going to be available in this price range. And I've got it at $100,000. So we'll buy it for 100 cash. I'll put 10 into it. And we're going to list it at 199. In an area that's got a shortage of properties. And I like the affordable properties right now, especially as rates go up. The affordability things is what people need. They need affordable housing, a payment they could afford to pay on a nice property. So that's what we're doing. And then the other one's in upstate New York. Same situation. I found a realtor who sold the house 2 doors down. And so when I'm finding these deals and we find them all out of state, the way we do it, guys, how we find out if it's a good deal or not is I look for realtors in the area who just had recent sales. And if they had to sell on that street, that block, couple streets over, that's who I reach out to. And when you go on Zillow and you look at houses that were sold in that area, they come up this little yellow dot, right? Well, when I click on that dot and it shows me the realtor who had the property listed, if I see that same name more than once, like 2 times or 3 times, and they had some experience selling multiple properties in that area, that's my guy or girl I'm calling. That's the one I'm calling to talk about because they are going to know the area and they're going to have a lot of success in the area. And knock on wood, every single time I've done that, we've really got to meet some great people. They're local, they know the area, they're active in the area, and they've got sales in the area. The same thing we're doing in Connecticut, we're doing a small fix and flip there too. Found the realtor the same way, guys. So I help the professionals. I let the professionals help me analyze these deals. So what does that call sound like? It's very simple. I reach out and say, hi, my name is Joe Delle. I'm a real estate investor and I'm looking to buy a property on 123 Smith Street. I saw you had a couple recent sales in the area, so I wanted to connect because sometimes I buy the property and I rent them out. Sometimes I do a complete renovation and then I sell them. I list it with yourself. Or sometimes I just buy them and I just clean them out and I list them as is. So they're going to give me some ideas of what I could rent it for, what the as is property value is worth, what the after repair property value is worth by some examples. They're local into the area. And the next question I always ask them is, do you have any buyers who'd be interested in something like this? And there's been many times where they say, I already have a buyer wanting this deal. Right. And then I just work out what I have to pay them. Sometimes I don't even have to even list them. So when I'm looking at deals, guys, if I'm looking to create a finance deal that I'm going to buy and keep, I need low cost of entry. I need some monthly cash flow. Some free equity would be really nice. Not required, but would be really, really nice. And then what's my term length on those? But then on these cash offers where they say, no, I can't do terms, but I would take a low cash offer. How do I find out if that's a good deal, whether it's in my own backyard or anywhere else around the country? That's the formula. Talking to seller or to realtors who've already sold a lot in the area, who are professionals, right? Somebody who does this pretty much as a business. And those have been the real keys to where we're finding a lot of these deals right now. And I will say is we keep on hearing interest rates are going up. The last time they didn't do an interest rate hike, but they said they believe that they're going to keep interest rates up higher for a longer amount, which is now affecting the rest of the market. And from the meetup that we went to, guys, everybody keeps saying the same thing. I can't say doom and gloom because that's not really the case. But they do say, there's going to be the market's going to be an adjustment for a while. If anybody ever heard of Ted Thompson, who's been a real estate investor for a long time, if you don't Google him, he likes to wear really colorful shirts. Great guy. He's been doing this since the 1970s. He says if there's a pullback in the market and all the professionals tell you it's going to take 2 years, he's like, it's double that. It's going to be 4 years. If they tell you it's going to take 3 years, it's going to take 6 years. And he said that he's been in the market and watched all the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs and things like that. And he says, we're in for something right now. We don't know if it's like 2008 or whatever it is, because there's none that are exactly the same, but there's going to be something going on in the market. So as that continues to be the case, guys, we're finding more of these sellers who are in a jam, who need help. Now, if you run into some of these situations where they try to list it with a realtor and it's not selling, a cash buyer can't help them maybe because they owe too much and it's a turnkey house and cash buyers usually don't buy those. Who else is left? Right? It's the folks who know creative finance, the folks who get into these deals and help these poor sellers out who are in these tough situations. One slide that I really enjoyed from this last mastermind that they brought out, 66% of current mortgages have an interest rate of 4% or less right now. 66 to 67% have an interest rate under 4%, at 4% or less. That's huge. So when you're looking for a rental, something you're going to cash flow, it's going to be on those deals, right? It's going to be on the ones that have the really low interest rates. And when you learn how to, leverage yesterday's money with the inflation of tomorrow's dollar, those are the deals I want to buy heavily right now, even if I'm only making a few $100 a month on a turnkey house. And guys, I will tell you, when you have folks there like Jameel, who really huge wholesaler, you've got guys that are like Pace Morby, one of the best there is in the business. You got people around the grand, Steve Trang, like all the names. I promised I wasn't gonna fanboy too hard, and then like the minute I got there, it was all over, and I was already like, "Oh my god, I love you." But it was really exciting to be around these people and to hear their take on it, right? And really, what it is it's just positioning yourself right now. Like if I knew creative finance like in 2005 when the market was going up, and in 2006 when the market was going up, and in 2007 I was buying houses back then, guys, and it was just like it was a few years ago. The market was just going up. Houses were going for over asking. If you didn't put in a full price offer or over asking, you were not going to get the deal. Interest rates were still pretty decent. I think it was like 4% at the time. So not super low, but not terrible either. Houses were a lot less expensive. The market was wild. It was tough to find a deal. And then in 2008, when the market took a little bit of a dump, it didn't happen in 2008 right away. Like we hear 2008, but the market continued to drop for years. And that's why Jenn and myself were buying a house a year that time. Buying them the old conventional way, buying them cash, doing everything our coach told us not to do. We bought them, we refinanced them, we rented them out to regular renters, and then we refinanced it. We were burring using our own credit. So Ron LeGrand says the number one single largest mistake is personally guaranteeing debt in real estate. And he still says that to this day, right? From everything that he's learned. So this is why I love these seller finance sub 2 deals, creative finance deals right now. Guys, it's on fire. So how do we position ourselves to find more of these leads, find more of these deals? I hope many of you have already listened to our podcast before, but I'm going to say it again. Join Facebook groups if you want to do it for free. Some of you might cold call. Some of you might want to do mailers, whatever that is. Guys, when I did my first deal, we had to spend like $5,000 pulling a list, skip tracing it, and sending out letters. We had to send out like 4,000 letters, about $1.20 something each one. And if you do mail, any of you know you only get about a 1% response rate once again. So you're going to spend $4,000 to $5,000 just to get about 30 quality phone calls, right? So you got to make a deal. And if you don't make a deal, how quick are you to take out that checkbook and do it again, right? It gets to be scary. So this is why when we found the hack, and this is why we share it with all of you, because I hope all of you get a deal and I want you to. And then when you do, the only thing I require is you send me a message saying, holy cow, this worked. I got a deal. That's the only thing I want out of it. Because this stuff works, guys. Our clients are getting deals right now currently. One of our clients just found a deal. They're going to actually move into it as their primary residence from this blue ad. So here's how it works. You're going to join Facebook groups. You're going to join Facebook groups. What kind of groups, Joe? You're going to join them from your own personal Facebook page, and you're going to join garage sale groups, yard sale groups. So if I want to learn in Kansas City, Missouri, I'm going to type in, go into Facebook. I'm going to type in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm going to hit groups, and it's going to show you all of their groups that are in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm going to be joining them things, but here's the tip, guys. Don't join like 100 at once because Facebook's going to say you're spamming. You better stop that. They'll say, we're going to shut off your ability to join groups for 24 hours. So it might join like 20, 25. 20 is safe. I'll join 20 Facebook groups, but I'll always do that. I'll do that like every single day, every week. I still do it this day, guys. I've been doing it for like this last 6, 7 years. But I join a Facebook group, garage sale group, whatever that is. And then inside of that group, I go to make a post for my own personal Facebook page, not a business page, not Joe Buys Real Estate. I do it for my own personal page. And I just type in there, does anyone have a house for sale that's not market ready? I'm looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Does anyone have a house for sale that's not market ready? I'm looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then before I hit send, I go pick out the different backgrounds, right? I've talked about this before. You could find the heart-faced background, the different color background. There's even like the poop emoji background. Like, don't do that one. But I just do it like a simple blue. I've done pink. Pink's really rocking. I've had done green. I really like that, right? And I liven it up. And then I send that into the group. Then I wait. I do that into about 5 groups a day. And the groups that I join aren't groups with like 5 people in them. I'm talking groups that have got like 10, 20, 30, 50,000 people in them. Some of them have way more. I put it into those groups. And sometimes you get ghosted and you get nothing. Happens to me all the time. But you might have one group that just turns electric and everybody's reaching out. And I mean, and it turns to the point where you have a lot of people reach out, right? And I generate leads for free. So I've had a lot of my clients that we work with are generating dozens of leads per week for free without having to spend $1. So if guess what, if you mess up, don't make a deal, no big deal. I'm going to get more leads for free anyways. It didn't cost me nothing. If I'm in Florida, but I want to do deals in New York, I could just join groups in New York and do deals from here. I'm not trying to spread people's word on the street, so I'm not going to say her name, but one of our clients is moving to Australia because she's a model, and she's moving to Australia for 6 months. And she says, Joe, I don't want to miss out. Can I still like come to the support calls? I said, well, the support calls that we do at night is 11 o'clock in the morning in Australia. So yeah, you can still come to all the support calls that we do, and you can still do your business from anywhere around the planet, as long as you have a phone and an internet connection. Because if I'm in Europe, or if I'm in South America, or if I'm on some tropical island with some drink with the umbrella hanging out of it, some fruit in there with some good other stuff in there. As long as I have my internet connection, guys, I could join Facebook groups. I could put my blue, pink, whatever ad in there, and I could have sellers reach out to me that day. They could reach out to me that day. And if you haven't already gone to our creativefinanceplaybook.com, gone to our website yet, and download our script for free, which are the 10 questions that we ask sellers, guys, go get it. Go get it. This is the current script that our team, you've heard Lexi. This is the same script that our team currently uses when we're asking sellers and making deals. And if you don't know Lexi, if you maybe heard her on our Bigger Pockets episode, she works for us. We hired her in December to babysit our kids. We found her on care.com. If you want to find somebody that helps you in your job, go to care.com. Some of the best people that we've worked with are in there. For some reason, I don't know why. I'm going to like patent that, right? Care.com for real estate investors. Come rich that way. But anyways, Lexi, that's where she came from. And now Lexi's been working for us for the 10 months. She's doing about a deal or two every week. Every single week. She wants to write up one today, and I can tell you because she was just texting me. This is one in Texas. She writes up the one in Texas, says the lady in Texas in Houston has a 3.2 interest rate. Double check. Last thing we said, her payment could be, she goes over all the numbers, guys, and it looks like this is a really decent moneymaker. So once again, 3.2 interest rate, turnkey house. We just did one last week in Colorado. Same thing. Seller has his house empty, needs to sell it. If anybody's looking for a deal in Colorado, we're going to assign that one. So if anybody wants a deal in Colorado, holler at your boy. I got a deal up there for you. We don't need a huge assignment fee for it, but it is out in the middle of like nowhere-ish. Colorado is one of those states, boy. You could be in a city or you could be out in the sticks. And I mean, this one's out there, but it's not too far from a town either. So it's not that bad. So for when we're posting these deals, we're able to post anywhere we want. Or I'm sorry, our ads. We're able to post anywhere we want. Then when we ask the same questions, we ask the 10 questions. Here's the script, guys. We're giving it to you. Use it, please. Now, what I hear on the flip side is, Joe, they won't answer my questions. Or I changed your script. I'm going to give you 2 big lessons. Don't change the script. Do not change it. Just ask those 10 questions. If the seller will not ask those questions, and you just got to copy and paste it, y'all, it's really that easy. We have a virtual assistant who works for us in the Philippines, and all that she does, her name's Michelle. She's fantastic. She's been working for us for a while now. When a seller reaches out to us with their off-market property, because we pay for leads now, when we have that happen, she just asks the 10 questions by copying and pasting. That's simple. She doesn't change the script. She doesn't redo anything. She just copies and pastes. If they're on question 4, the next question is 5, right? The next question after that is what? Everybody know the answer to that? 6. There we go. Thank you. Right? It's 6. Just post those 10 questions and the seller will give you all the information they need. Now, if that seller does not give you the information, they're not motivated. They're not motivated. Move on. My coach used to tell me around the grand, if they're not motivated, whack them with lightning speed and move on to the next one. Well, that's easy to do when those leads are free. When you got to spend $5,000, you're panicking. Every lead just costs you a boatload of money. But if a seller doesn't give us our 10 questions, guys, we just move on. But we keep on re-engaging with them. We follow up with them. But here's the tip. Has anybody talked to a seller today, this month? Sure, it's October 10th. But what about the sellers that maybe you talked to a month or two ago, or 3 months ago, or 5 months ago, or 10 months ago, or a year or two ago? If they didn't sell their house, they might be highly motivated right now. So a lot of our CRM, which is our system that we use that follows up with sellers, we're following up. And a lot of the deals we're making are people who are reaching out right now, but we're also making a boatload of deals that folks we reached out to 6-7 months ago. Or honestly, they reached out to us initially, right? And we had that conversation. They say, no, I don't want to do this. I've got one in Galveston, Texas, turnkey house, a few houses from the beach. And she says, no, originally she won't do seller financing. I'm going to list it with my realtor. So she didn't sell. Now back to off market again. Keep following up with her. And she says, okay, I'll sell it with seller financing. I went 450 with 100 grand down. We said, we typically buy with no money down. She's like, well, I want 100 grand. We said, no dice. And now she's down to $10,000 down because she doesn't want to rent it. Right. So time will change people's circumstances and situations many of times. So follow-up is key. I don't want to keep beating the same drum, but the fortune's in the follow-up of what we do. That's really what it is. I'd like to say that like I'm super talented. I mean, I've got a couple of talents, but like I could blow bubbles in my spit, but nothing too crazy. But my talent is follow up. And I don't even follow up with it that good. My computer does it for me because I know I suck at it. Right. So we just follow up. We put in a sequence every 30 days. We're super sweet. We kill everybody with kindness. We're never mean to people. Even if they're mean to us, we just don't talk to them anymore, but we're not ever mean to people. But the key is following up with them and asking the right questions, gathering the right information. And the key to success in real estate, guys, is actually deal with motivated sellers. I wish I had like some really fancy like secrets, but when you're dealing with an unmotivated seller, this business is torture. And when you're dealing with motivated people who want your help and you're able to help them, the magic happens. And all of a sudden you get this like almost like this false state of confidence. Like I am so good. I could get anybody to do a sub 2 deal. No, just get real good at dealing with motivated sellers and finding them and weeding out all the others. And you'll feel good about yourself. I promise. But that's really the key to this business. So when we're dealing with sellers, what does it look like? When I ask a question like, why do you want to sell it? My first question, when they write to me, why not? Or what does it matter to you? Oh boy. Oh boy. I could already tell where this conversation is going. The other 9 questions are going to probably sound a lot like this one, Mr. Grumpy Pants. However, on the flip side of that, when I find somebody who's truly motivated, and I know a couple of my clients are in here right now, they could tell you. When you're dealing with somebody who's highly motivated, they start answering like all of the questions before you could even answer them. I'm like many times like, whoa, slow down. Let me get to this, right? Let me ask you that question before you just answer it. But it's exciting, right? They need some help. So when I ask, can you please tell me about the property? They're going to say it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2,000 square foot house. I've already moved out of town to take a job and I just want to break even. I owe 200,000 on the house. And if you could buy it for what I owe, I'm happy. I'm like, well, jeepers creepers, boy. They just gave me answer 1, 2, 5, 7, and 8, right? On just one shot. So I'm not picking on Michelle because I love her, but she doesn't fully understand some of the stuff. So like if somebody answers that question earlier, she still doesn't know any different. She'll still stick to the script because that's what she knows. So she'd be like, how much do you want for the property? Like, I told you 200,000. And like, what do you owe for it? They're like, I told you 200,000. So just try to read that. It'll save you a little bit of them getting frustrated. They still, if they're highly motivated, they won't care. They'll answer the question twice, but it will save you some of that. So deal with motivated people. Motivated people will ask for some things, but when we ask the questions the way we do, this is how we find our best deals. So here's the deal, guys. I told you when we're analyzing creative finance deal, my number one obstacle is cost of acquisition. How much money, how much cash do I need to buy the deal? So I want all of us to practice this and write this phrase down if you don't already know it. I typically buy with no money down, okay? All of you, write this down. This sentence will make you a fortune. And it's made me tons of money, tons and tons and tons of money, and clients of ours too. When I'm dealing with the seller, they want 300,000 for the price of the house. So let me ask you a question, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. If I were to buy it for your 300,000, I could buy it with seller financing, which means I'll just buy it and make monthly payments to you. If they like that, okay, great. I typically buy with no money down, okay? Now I know it sounds like a question to most of us, but that's more of a statement. And when they say, okay, you'd be surprised. Listen to the recordings, guys. We have our call and call compilation all around. Listen to the calls countless times. Countless times. They'll just say, okay. Now, what about the ones that slip through the cracks and say, no, I need 100 grand down? I always say something very simple. You ready for this, guys? And this is recorded, so it goes up on our YouTube channel. But if I buy it your $300,000 price and buy it as is, like I told you, I typically buy with no money down. So how close to zero can I get to make this deal work? How close to zero can I get to make this deal work? Simple question. What I've learned from all the best negotiators, guys, and we've worked with some of the best coaches around. The coach we have right now is one of the best in the country, guys. He's absolutely phenomenal. We always work with coaches all the time. And you're talking to a guy who never went to college. So I didn't pay for that because I didn't think a professor making 80 grand a year could teach me how to make millions a year. But when I learned from people who've making and made multi-millions per year, that's who I want to pay money to so they could teach me how to do that. So I'm really big into coaching. And all of our coaches have always told us the same thing is get good at asking great questions. Just get great at asking the questions, right? And have the seller give you the offer. Who asks the best questions? Little kids. You ever been around a little kid before and tell them something? They want to know why to everything, right? Why this, why that, why this, why that. All of us were that. But somewhere in life, we got away from that, right? Somewhere in life, we figured like, I might know more about this, so I'm going to tell the seller what I could do. We got to just get back to asking questions and have the sellers give us the offer. So guys, if you want to know the 10 questions we ask, creativefinanceplaybook.com. Our scripts are on there for free. Download that sucker. Put that blue ad out into Facebook groups all over the country, and you're going to have sellers reach out to you in abundance. Once they do, ask them those 10 questions through Messenger. The old Joe used to get on the phone with every one of them. If I got 10 leads today, that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes of phone call. Yeah, I'm a gabber, so it might even be more in a couple of them. If I'm on that phone call with 20, 30 minutes times 10 people, I'm on the phone for 4 or 5 hours, even 6, and that's too much. So what we've learned is to reach out. They reach out to us, our sellers. We ask them 10 questions through Messenger and only get on the phone with the good ones. So I screen out a lot of the time wasters, a lot of the unmotivated sellers. And I'm only on the phone with maybe 1 or 2, 3 a day. And now I don't even do that. Lexi does that for us, guys. I spend 10 to 15 hours a week in my real estate business. And here's a clue that it rings true. And I didn't know how my coach was telling me this before. Some of you might have already heard this. So I did not make this up. But the less I do, the more I make. The less I do, the more I make. So when I work 50, 60 hours a week in my real estate business, I will tell you I am not making as much as I do when I'm working 10, 15 hours. This is way cooler. And this is how we're able to do, 5, 6, 7 deals every single month. And the ones that we're doing right now, a lot of these smart flips, I think we have 5 or 6 of them going around the country. Every one's almost 100 grand. Plus all the other deals we're buying on terms. Plus all the other deals that we're currently working on too, that we're going to be making. Right. So to do 7 figures a year or even 8 figures a year in real estate is not as hard as you'd believe. The first million is the hardest one. Then after that happens, it sounds weird, but it becomes easier and easier to do. And momentum breeds momentum. So when I dial back to where Jen and Joe were way back in the beginning, Jen is a teacher, Joe in a car dealership, trying to look at these houses, paying cash for them. Like, boy, I wish I had a coach to grab me behind my shirt and say, no, do this instead. So this is why I go live every Tuesday to share with you what we're currently doing, what's currently working in our business, because we're not just talking about it, like we actually do the deals. I know many of these coaches out there or folks out there love talking about it, but they're not actually doing it. We're buying these deals and we're doing them. I got HUD statements to show them. So this isn't something that we just talk about. We're actually doing it. And as the market changes, you're going to want to be really tuned to that because, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, interest rates were 3%. And now they're going to be approaching 8%. That's going to change the way people do business, don't you think? So, and the market is changing, guys. My preferred house are these turnkey houses, beautiful neighborhoods that don't really need a lot of work. My preferred method is rent to own. We're just finishing up another case study on a rent to own property we're doing right now in New York. I bought this property 3 years ago. We bought it 3 years ago with $100 down. And we paid about $5,000 in closing costs. This place was turnkey. It needed nothing. We got free equity. Cost of entry, under $5,000 or $5,000. Only thing we did when we bought the house, I put in smoke alarms. I'm a freak about it. If I'm renting a house, every bedroom, the kitchen, there's smoke alarms everywhere in these houses. And you guys, don't be cheap on the smoke alarms. Carbon monoxide detectors on every floor. Right? We have a basement in the house, so at each floor there's a smoke alarm. And carbon monoxide detectors. That's all we put in there. Maybe $300 total, $400 for the guys to go hang them up. I don't even know. But our renter gave us $25,000 to move into that property. My monthly payment was $1,700 a month, and we rented it for $3,000 a month. So we were cash flowing about $1,200. And now our renter is getting ready to buy the house. They finally get qualified for their mortgage. We should be closing next week. We're about to get a $90,000 back end check. So when I think of how to turn my money into more money by not using a whole lot of money, how do I do that? I took $100 deposit, y'all, $5,000 in closing costs. I'm all into the deal for under $7,000 with an insurance policy. I got that back within a few months once I got my $25,000 down. So I'm up. And then when you consider I'm making $1,200 a month for the last 2.5 years, that's a lot of money. And then you get a $90,000 check too. That's a lot of money. You add all of that up, right? Minus my $7,000 I got into that deal. I could turn $7,000 into $150,000 in 2.5 years, 3 years. That's just on one deal. How many of those deals do you need to do to be where you're financially independent? And I'm going to go over what that means. Has anybody heard of the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Robert Kiyosaki, the author. His wife, Kim Kiyosaki, is at our meetup. She's part of the family mastermind. She's up on stage talking. What a class act this lady is, by the way, guys. I am talking like she's so awesome. And she says, when Robert and I first were getting into this, she's like, we were able to quit our corporate jobs. When we were able to make $10,000 a month, we were financially independent at $10,000 a month because all of our expenses were only $3,000 a month. I said, holy cow, rich dad, poor dad, financially independent when you're making $10,000 a month. And that was it? Like not millions? And she says, no. And then when he didn't have to work 40 to 50 hours at his corporate job, and she didn't have to work 40 to 50 hours at her corporate job, they were able to spend full-time focus into their business, which made them hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I won't dive into too much of it, but guys, one of her stories that she told us at the mastermind when she's on stage, true story, she wanted to buy a fitness club. And when the fitness clubs didn't work out, the deal didn't work out. So she was in a really, really bad mood. She's like, I was all upset the deal didn't work out. And I found another fitness club close to where I lived. I just called up the broker, asked what they wanted for it. And she said they wanted $7.5 million for it. So she's like, fine, I'll just take it. Like she bought a fitness club. Like, I just go to like Wendy's drive through, right? Like, yeah, I'll just take that cheese. I'm like, she was just like $7.5 million. Yeah, the money, I'll get it wired right over to you guys. I was like, wow, how cool is that? Right? It didn't start that way. It didn't start that way. So when I'm working with a new investor, I always want to know is what's your What's your number? What's your monthly income until you are financially independent to where you do not have to have a W-2 job anymore? And you could do this full time or do other things full time. Maybe it's you want to be an author and write a Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. Like, wouldn't that be awesome? Or maybe it's to do other things. I know I like to spend a lot of times with my kids. I have a 10-year-old and I have an 8-year-old, and they're growing up so fast. If some of you are parents in here, you know what I'm talking about. And for some of the folks who've already been parents and the kids have already moved out, you were all right. Every one of you were right. So if you have young kids, remember what these folks told us. It happens so quick. They're out of the house so fast. You have 18 Christmases. You have 18 summers, 18 winters, and the kids are gone. Another really scary fact that I heard that really bothered me a lot is after your kids are 18 years old and they move out, you spent the first 18 years with them. After that, the rest of your lives combined, you only spend about one more year with them. Because they don't come over your house usually every day. I mean, there's some of them parents that have that happen, but most of the time they're out. You see them on the weekends, you see them for holidays, but they're out living their lives too. So you only really get to be around your kids for about a total of 19 years. The first 18 when they live with you, and the rest of your life is only about one more year combined. You're getting to see them and spend time with them. So not to freak any parents out, but I enjoy spending time with my kids right now. And I am so grateful that I don't have those golden handcuffs that where I was stuck to my old job, having to run out the door, be at a meeting at 8 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, get home at 9:30. They're already in bed and I don't get to see them. So this is why I'm so grateful for real estate, and I'm grateful for the lifestyle it's been able to give me. And this is why I give back, because it's a gift. So if I could help one person in here, maybe a whole bunch of you, this is my goal. So find out what you need to make per month in order for you to be financially free. I never did that number before. I mean, I did years ago, but like when I was coming up, I didn't think about that. I just knew what I wanted to make a bunch of money. Who doesn't want to make a bunch of money, right? Everybody does. So you want to find out what is that number. You have to well define it and then grow into it. It comes with real estate. That's why I like it. That's why I have most of these successful multimillionaires. And plus, I've done it through real estate. So what I will say is, if you're going to do real estate, make sure you're going to do it right. Right? How are we going to do that? We're going to be able to help people and make a lot of money. And that's why I love buying real estate with non-recourse debt, where it's not you signing personally for every house that goes on your credit report. That's what Ron says is the number one biggest no-no in all of real estate, what to do. But then also too, when you're going to buy these properties, guys, buying them and these 2-3% interest rates, they're not gone. They're just gone if you walk into the bank today, try to apply for it. But there are 67% of the population who have a mortgage on their house has a mortgage rate at 4% or less. So that means there's abundance of these deals out there. We just have to find the motivated sellers. And the ones will give you low cost of entry, get you some monthly cash flow on a turnkey house, guys. I will take every one of those. So here's how I'm going to give to you guys today. If you have some of those deals, I saw somebody write in my Facebook group yesterday. They had a deal they wanted to have somebody take a look at, and seller has really no equity. It's been in the market for a long time. Seller moved out of the house. It's empty. They've already moved out for a job. They're open to doing a wrap mortgage seller financing. They have no equity. And the poster in the group says, if I'm only able to make $350 a month and this house is kind of turnkey, like, is that a deal worth doing? And I was like, well, yeah, I do those deals. And then we had somebody else in the group say, you're crazy. I would never do that deal. I've got thousands of these deals available if that's what you're looking for. So I nicely write back, well, bro, if you got thousands of these deals that they're able to do with no money down, and I can make $350 a door on a turnkey house, send them all my way. And I will try to buy, I can't maybe buy 1,000 of them today, but I'm going to darn try. Right. And with my rent to own method, I bet you I can if it's done in the right fashion. And then, of course, once we looked a little closer, I don't think that they understood what the poster was saying initially, because it wasn't like a finance deal. It was a sub-2 deal. And when they bought the house 2 years ago, they have an interest rate like 3%, which I will take any deals that are turnkey houses that you can cash flow with no money down that has a 3% interest rate or less. So if you have those deals and you don't want it or don't have the cash to take it down, holler at your boy. I will help you with that. And either we could work together and find a buyer, or I will buy it from you and be your buyer. And this is where I love collaborating. This is what I learned from our mastermind, guys, is there's way too many deals out there that just one person could find, or even 20, 100,000 people could find. There are way more sellers out there who need our help. So I spread the word of how this works. Let's make some money together. And I am collaborating on a bunch of deals right now with folks, and we're making a boatload of money together. And that's why we come here. So I'm going to answer some questions while we got a few more minutes, and let's get this thing going. So Trace, good to see you, buddy. That's what I'm finding is high cost of entry deals, especially from wholesalers. So wholesalers, just like anything else, it's another middleman. And I try to avoid having people in between me and the seller, because everybody wants their hand in your pocket. Now I get it. Everybody wants to make money. Sure, totally understand. But if I have a realtor involved and it's a house in the market, the realtor wants to get paid. And I don't blame them. They should get paid. A wholesaler has a deal locked up. They're going to want to get paid. I understand. But that's why I love direct to seller, is because that's going to keep my cost of entry down, because it's just me and a seller. Simple, easy peasy. So that's what I love. And I got to work with them on keeping my cost of entry down as low as possible. So Trace, one of the ways I do that is I find off-market leads. We talk about getting minimum of 20, 25 a week by posting these Facebook groups. And you could have one group do that. I'm going to give you all a tip right now. Anybody want a good one? Everybody keeps reading that, and I don't know how true it is because I'm not an Airbnb host, but everybody keeps saying that Airbnb is taking a big dump. A lot of people want to sell their Airbnb properties. Do you think there's groups on Facebook who are Airbnb owners? And do you think inside of those Airbnb groups, there might be people who want to sell their turnkey property, but won't take a low cash offer, who may be open to terms? Probably good groups to join, huh? Maybe join some of those and see if that's the case. We had one of our clients said they have more leads in one of those groups than they could legitly handle. They stopped marketing altogether because of that. So there's a great source for leads, guys, right now. Kenneth, hi, thanks for the webinar. No problem. About a week ago, I emailed a list of about 20 suspects with an existing interest rates of 2.7. I was wondering if any of you guys scanned the list of opportunities we may work on together. You know what's funny? I think anybody under a 4% rate is a great candidate to target. You could look on PropStream and things like that. And it's a great spot to find people who have low interest rates. So if you could find on PropStream, one of the searches I do as I look for people who have a mortgage on their home with interest rates under 4%. And then I could cross skip trace that versus either they have any back taxes, any liens on the property, or if any of those are currently for sale. Any of those things are working out wonderful right now. But yes, I am targeting really low interest rates. If somebody tells me they have a 7.5% interest rate, I'm all excited, but I'm also not. How is a lease purchase different from a rent to own? They're the same thing. The same thing. Just one sounds a little fancier than others. And let me tell you a dirty secret. When you're dealing with the normal houses, I advertise those rent to own. When I have a high-end property, like a really high-end property, we offer that as a lease option because it sounds fancier. They're the same thing. How do you run buyers through your RMLO, Jordan? Great question. So if I'm doing a rent to own, Jordan, we use screenthetenant.com. They're not an RMLO, but they are pretty close. And at this point, I am not selling them a house with seller financing. I am renting them the house. So what screenthetenant.com is, if you guys haven't seen our interview with there, it's up on our YouTube channel, Create a Finance Playbook on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. But we run them through there. We have our own dedicated special link. So when my team sends a renter through the property and they love it and they want to do the rent to own on there and they say, I've got $20,000 for my option deposit, we text them our special link through screenthetenant.com that you could all get for free. Doesn't cost any money. You get your special link. And then when we send them that link, our renters pay the $50 per applicant, not Joe and Jen. Then after that happens, Paul Ritter and his team based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, run all of the information. and usually in a day, 2, 3 days, they give you back about a 70-page report on each person. I've got background checks, criminal history, sex offender. I mean, income verification. I got the whole background check, right, guys? So now when I'm dealing with a renter who's going to want to rent the property, I need to know that they're going to qualify for the mortgage, not now, but later on. So let me give you an example why I do this is if somebody got a settlement for say $20,000 and they want to use this for one of the houses, they're looking at a $500,000 home, but they make 25 grand a year working at the Circle K gas station. They're not going to qualify for that mortgage. And I don't want to put somebody in a bad position. So I still need to make sure they get a 4 of the payments. And Paul's team walks us through there and gives us 70 pages, but gives me a snapshot about 3 paragraphs. So we love them. So I make sure that when I do rent to own, I'm putting in the right rent to own tenant buyer. So what does that mean? If they got the money to move in, they got a big old check, their chances are, unless they're an axe murderer, you're in. Right. And then I've even had that debate with Jenn because we found one. And I said, well, was he sorry? And Jenn says, right. Either way. Great question. So I did that after the last call you did, and maybe got 10 responses from just one post. Brian, where are you? Great job if you're still listening. So you got 10 responses from one post. That is phenomenal. That's what we do, guys. You'll get 10 leads for free. If you were to spend money on those 10 leads, that probably would have cost you about $1,000 or more. So this is why I'd love you guys to get leads for free. Feel like you messed up, cool. Don't worry about it. It's a free lead. But I will tell you, a highly motivated seller, you can't mess that lead up unless you tell them like their kids are ugly or something like really, really bad, right? If you feel like you goofed up, don't worry about it. Just say, let me share this information with my partner and I'll get you on there. Gabby, do you mind repeating where you get the script? Yeah, absolutely, Gabby. It's right on our website, creativefinanceplaybook.com. So creativefinanceplaybook.com. Oh, Juliana, thank you. You've already put it in there. Creativefinanceplaybook.com is right on there. You can download our script for free. All of it's right on this, the same exact script our team is using. And it has our rebuttals on there. So if a seller says, why do you need my mortgage information? We just copy and paste the rebuttal. There's many ways that we can make an offer. We want a couple options that's best for you. Do you have a rough idea of what you owe? And they just tell you. Dane, how do you determine an assignment fee? So I let the market determine that. That's a great question. This is what I learned. This is why coaching is awesome, guys, because from one class that we went to from Tiffany and Josh High in Columbus, Ohio, if you walk away with just one little thing, it's made us a lot of money. And I know I've got some wholesalers in here. I see my buddy Avery in here. I got some wholesaler friends in here. When I say an assignment fee is $10,000, and I'm just going to go over an example. Assignment fee is $10,000, and then Dylan says, "Hey, I'll take that deal for $10,000." Cool, yay! But then Trace calls me up and says, "Hey, I really want that deal. I'll give you a $20,000 assignment for it." How do I go back to Dylan and say, "Hey, Dylan, sorry, somebody offered me $20,000, $10,000 more than you, and you're no longer getting the deal." Dylan's going to say, "What the heck, bro? You had it listed at 10,000 and I told you I'm paying for it. And now I'm not getting the deal." He's going to be mad at me. He's already waving, right? So what we do to help this situation not turn into that bad, because I don't ever want to get an investor mad at me. And then I've always learned your reputation is everything. There's not one deal worth your reputation. So what I learned in my training was, say, assignment fee starting at $10,000. Right. And so what we did was we changed it. And I told them, well, I've had some folks offer me over the price before. So just put in what your best offer is and what you feel like the value of the deal is to you. And my assignment fee is starting at $10,000. And then I let the market tell me what the assignment fee is. Right. I let the market tell me by sharing it with a lot of investors and letting them give me the best offers they think. I've had some, they've gone to 40,000. I'm like, oh boy, let's go. And he closed them. And I had some say, starting at 10,000, how's 5,000? And we take it because I didn't get anything else better. I don't love them, but I'll do them. Right. So starting at is a great way to just make sure that you're fully transparent with your buyers because you don't want to upset them. And I don't ever want to do that. Sorry for using you, Dylan, but hey. um, Brian, I'd like to take a look at that deal in Colorado. Shoot me a message. I'd love to get on the phone. We could talk about it. Can you copy and paste here? Colleen, I don't know. I think you can though. Brian, my biggest issue when I get the script is the mortgage question. Realtors answer, but I was blocked by a seller and then brushed off by another. Brian, I know exactly what you're meaning. So on our script, one of the questions is how much do you own the mortgage? Now, I will tell you the way our script is written is that we do it in the right order. If I go up to Juliana, I'm like, hey, Juliana, cool. Thanks for reaching out to me about your house for sale. How much do you own the mortgage? She's going to be like, well, what the heck is this guy talking about? Like, no way, I'm not going to give that to you. So what we've learned was to ask easy questions first. And the questions on our script get a little bit more in depth, every one of them. But we've developed a pattern of me asking a question, they give me the answer. I ask another question, they give me the answer. So most of the time when I get right to that mortgage question, they breeze right through it. Motivated sellers breeze right through it. Unmotivated sellers, skeptical sellers, they always put up their brakes there. Sometimes they do. We hit them with the rebuttal, which is right on our script, Brian. And we get 95% of our sellers give us how much they owe on the mortgage. 95%. We've been tracking it for a long time. Don't ask that question the first one. And I know you wouldn't because that's not the way our script's designed, but don't ask that one the first question because then that number goes down significantly. But the way we've done this through thousands, I mean, tens of thousands of sellers, this is the technique to do it. And motivated people, I will tell you, I have some people have like question one, hey, thanks for reaching out. Can you tell me about your property? And they're like, I owe 200,000. I want 200,000. It's a 4-bedroom house, right? And they just tell you everything right at once. And if a seller blocks you, they're not motivated. Don't worry about it. It's a good thing they blocked you so they didn't waste the rest of your time. I had one in Facebook group. They said, I have a lady reached out to me who wants to sell her house, but she won't give me the address. What do? I'm like, move on with lightning speed. If a seller won't give you the address to the property that they want to sell you, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're wasting your time talking with an unmotivated seller. So I always just write, hey, great, appreciate that. But, in order to move forward, I need to know your address. If not, I'm at a dead end. And I will tell you, Michelle on our team, our virtual assistant in the Philippines, she don't play. When it comes to how much do you need for the property? Give me an offer. She said the same thing. Well, in order to give you an offer, we need to come to see the property. Before we come see the property, I at least need to know a rough idea of how much you want for the property. So what's the rough idea what you want for it? I would be shocked. You guys are going to be surprised if you've just started doing this, but you'd be surprised how many times people reach out to me and like, my address is 125 Apple Street. What's your offer? I'm like, am I buying a pair of sneakers here? Buying a pair of sneakers, I still have to try them on. And that's a couple. Sometimes I'm buying the $100 sneakers, right? Maybe I go up to get wild and spend $200 on a pair of sneaks. Cool. But I'm spending $200 on a pair of shoes. I still need to try those on. You're asking me to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I haven't seen a picture. I've done a walk. I haven't tried it on yet. What kind of shenanigans are you pulling here? So what I learned in the car business is when people come in blazing hot, you need to slow them down. Ask the questions. You're in control. We are not selling anything here, guys. We are not in sales doing this. We are the buyers. Buyers are going to have questions. If they're asking you to spend a lot of money on a product they have, you have the right to ask questions. And if they don't want to answer your questions, you're dealing with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Move on, period. Highly motivated sellers will make you feel like a champion. And hey, my son's going to pop. You want to come in? And unmotivated sellers will make your life torturous. Time is your biggest negotiating tactic, Dylan. Spot on, buddy. That is so true. Time, I learned this a long time ago from a wholesaler in New York who's been doing this forever. And he was like, time and circumstances will change people's opinions and thoughts on what they're willing to do. If the deal is in the middle of nowhere or not near a city, Don't worry, it won't rent or sell. Am I worried about it? Does it satisfy a certain market criteria? Kathy, great question. I got one of my clients working on one right now in New York, small town. So what we do and here's the trick, what I do, I get that address, I put it into Google Maps. And by Google Maps, what that does, that I will scroll out and I'm going to see how close the schools are. I want to know how close the hospitals are. I want to know if there's any industry in the area, any manufacturing facilities or things like that. What's going on in the area? I have found some properties, and I'll give you an example. One of my clients in Texas, I am telling you, it's in the middle of nowhere. We talked to the seller. The seller says, we live in such a small town. We don't lock our doors. I'm like, you don't lock the door to your house? I'm from upstate New York, y'all. Like, you lock the house when you're in the house. Okay. While you're inside of it, your front door is locked. That's how I grew up. It's still like that. I'm in Florida now, and my front door is still locked. And if I walk by, it's unlocked, I lock it. Have it. Small town Texas. This guy's not even living in the state right now, but the front door to his house is completely unlocked. I'm like, anybody could just go walk in there. He's like, yeah, that's small town. My neighbors would shoot you if you come break into my house. I'm like, wow, no industry a mile away. But you start talking to everybody in town, it's an oil town. All those cowboys down there driving big trucks got a boatload of money. There's just a shortage of houses. So I do a little research into the town because I am telling you, like the Zillow Street View car, or I'm sorry, the Google Street View car that does like the Street View, that thing's been through there like since like 2003. Like it's all mad grainy and pixels. Like it's old, and not even Google's driving through there, but that property had no problem getting sold quickly. So I do some research in the area. I got one we're working on right now. And then if they're super rural, I'm also contacting realtors in the area, property managers in the area. I'm going to reach out to them, say, hi, my name is Joe Delle. I'm looking at buying 123 Apple Street. And I'm just kind of curious to know what the rental market is there. What do you think I could get for rent for this property? Is there a big demand? Because sometimes where there's not a lot available, there's a high demand, there's just none available. I've noticed that too. So if I'm in small town USA, here's one of the tactics I look for. I try to stay away from the high end stuff. Because super high end stuff, small town America, boy, that's going to be tough. Your buyer pool is limited anyways. And then high end stuff makes it a tiny, tiny buying pool or renting pool. But if it's like the middle average in town or a little bit less than that, I like those. Some of our favorite deals are in these small town USA where there's not a lot of town, but there's just people there, good people. So I do some research. I consult some local professionals, realtors, property managers in the area. I've dealt with some towns so small, there's not even a real estate agent in town. And I had to look for one of the next town over to ask them. So I'm talking, we find stuff super, super rural. And if they're super rural, I sometimes pass on them just for that fact too. We wholesaled the deal in Pennsylvania. Oh boy, I can't remember the name of the town. Jenn would know it. Either way, we wholesaled this deal in Pennsylvania, small town, and it's going to drive me crazy now. It's right on our website too. But either way, it was a really good deal, like a smoking good deal. House needed some work. It was an estate, part of an estate. We got under contract. And I mean, I had to almost give it away to find a buyer just because there wasn't many buyers in the area. And my buyer bought it from us, remodeled the whole house, made this thing absolutely stunning. And I hope he hit a home run because I saw what he had it listed for. And I have a feeling they made a lot of money in that deal. So I'm really happy for them. So those are, you just got to make sure you give yourself more time if you're going to take down a really rural property, but do your due diligence first. I have 2 deals that I need feedback on. Would you offer the seller? Would you exit deal number 1, seller finance sub 2, single family home, vacant, love it already. Price is 235, ARV is 270, means you got free equity. Cool. 25 grand down. I don't love that because that's almost 10% down, but you got me interested. Rent as is 1,300, rent remodeled 2,000, interest rate 4.8, payment is $600 a month. I got to know if that payment of $600 a month, is that including tax and insurance or not? Because I don't think it would. You might need to add tax and insurance on top of that. Balance of $65,000, 3 months behind, term length left 25 years, repairs $20,000. Okay, so David, number one deal for me, I would be slightly interested in that deal. Need to find out more information. Mainly, if I'm going to buy a property and needs $20,000 worth of repairs, I need to buy that with no money down. If they're 3 months behind on their payments, I have to buy it with no money down because I have to take care of closing costs, probably 4 months of back payments, plus 20,000 repairs. My cost of entry might be $25,000, maybe even more, right? Before I even buy that deal. Now cost of entry is 25,000. What am I going to make per month? It looks like you have a potential to make some really good money. Looks like you're going to get some possible free equity, but if you're buying at 235 worth 270, but you got to put 20 into it, not impossible. For me, how I do this deal was my extra strategy. I would try to talk to that seller, especially because the house is vacant. It's only costing them money. I would buy the deal, no money down, because I'm going to take care of your back payments, cover all the closing costs. And then I'm going to offer that rent to own handyman special. I'm not going to do the 20,000 repairs. I'm going to let somebody else do that. And I'd give them a little bit of a discount for doing those repairs. Most likely when I do a handyman rent to own, it's somebody who either could hire it out, does it themselves, or has family who does that kind of work, right? If I have I'm not picking anybody, but if I have a single mom with 5 kids who has a full-time job and she's going to plan on doing this roof by herself and she's never done a roof before, that's probably not going to happen unless she's got friends or family who could help her with that, right? So how I handled that deal, David, would be just that. I need to get my cost of entry down because cost of entry of 3 payments plus 20 grand plus 25,000 for the down payment, you're getting way too high. So I would say I'm definitely interested. I'll take care of your back payments. I'll buy it as is. I'll cover all the closing costs, but I typically buy with no money down. Okay. And then Juliana says, no, I need 25 grand. Well, because I'm going to buy it at that price and cover all the closing costs. How close to 25 grand can you get, or how close to zero can you get to make that deal happen? And that's what we're going to negotiate. And then I'm going to ask them, what are you doing with the 25 grand that you need it so bad? Sometimes they just want it. Sometimes they're looking to pay off credit cards. But I just tell them that the way I can make the deal work would be with no money down because I have to put some money into the property too. Can I promote deals I have available for assignment? Don't want to break the rules. Absolutely, Dylan. You know what I recommend doing is going right into our Facebook group, create a finance playbook with Jenn and Joe, put them in there. There's a lot of seller finance groups available. There's one that's got like 90,000 people in it. Pace Morby's group is always great for that too. But I always am a big fan of doing that too. So absolutely you can. Yes, it's a great book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I'm thinking we're talking about. Thanks for all the insight. I heard previous live streams that you don't utilize a third-party servicing company when doing wraps. Doesn't that create a potential risk that the seller might not make the mortgage payments while collecting from you? So great question, Rishi. So I don't pay the seller. I pay the bank directly. So if I have a deal that I buy and their previous lender's PennyMac, I got a lot of those, I make that direct payment to PennyMac. I don't, our assistant does, but that's what it's done every month. So we don't use a third-party servicing company when buying with wraps because they're great, but I've heard some of them not making payments. I've heard some of them just taking the money and all that. So that was kind of had me a little bit worried. So we just have it sent for directly our checking account right to their bank. Automatically every month we put on automatic payments and we just verify that their payment hasn't changed because we have access to their online portal. So we verify to make sure their payment didn't change due to like escrow or things like that. So, but I do not pay sellers directly unless it's a free and clear property and we're buying with seller financing. That's the only way a seller is going to get that payment. Okay. If someone is starting, finds a deal, but has no cash or understand how to do a deal, do you or one of your team help them? Juliana, yes, we do. We go to creativefinanceplaybook.com and there's a spot where you can actually submit your deal and we can take a look at it together. So when we do that, we're going to ask you, why would this make a deal? Like, why is it a good deal? So have some information available on that. And there's many a times where I always tell everybody, if you don't have a lot of cash and you're just getting started, find a good deal and then find somebody like myself or many others out there who will give you a lot of money for that deal And that's how you get paid on your first one. And then now you've got some working capital, right? And that's how you're going to build it. Maybe even wholesale your first 2 or 3 of these deals. And now you've got some working capital, but you're also learned a lot. I've gone through those processes too. So not only have you learned, you got paid to learn, best way to do it. So that's what I do. I have a few folks right now who've reached out to me and says, Joe, I have a deal. This is a great deal. We just need a JV on it and we could both make money together. And we are. But when we ask, why is this a good deal? I've had some people, none of you, I'm sure, but other people who said, I think this is a good creative finance deal because the house is blue. And I feel like blue houses make good creative finance deals. Like, no, we're going to need a little bit more than that, but you get what I'm saying, right? So we ask, like, why are they open to terms? Why are they selling? We want to have you have our scripts, guys. So when you submit the deal to us, you have all of the information that we're going to need to make an informed decision. That's why we give you this stuff. We give you all the tools. I give you the free ads. I give you the scripts. You guys stick to that. We could analyze these deals and I could look at a deal in 5 minutes. And I don't want to sound it because it sounds gruesome, but Jenn keeps on saying that like I'm the Grim Reaper, which I don't like that because I kill a lot of deals. But I kill bad deals, guys. I don't kill good deals. I kill bad deals where I think it's either a bad deal and there's no more life to it, or I look at how can we make it better. Trace, great question. Does your CRM automatically follow up with your leads? Yes, it does. I could drop a link on our Facebook page. I'll probably do that for you guys. Our CRM we use is Go High Level. We've customized it a lot ourselves because we have an in-house team that could do that. And we have columns that we put them in. I've got columns every 30 days we follow back up with you. But then I've got a column where if we have an appointment for a seller call and that seller doesn't show up to the call, they don't answer their phone, they ghost you. I've got one section, boy, we call it the psycho sequence because it reminds me of that psycho ex-boyfriend or psycho ex-girlfriend that were like when you ghost them, they blow your phone up and you got like 239 messages. It doesn't go that far. Okay. But it messages them until all of a sudden they pop back up and they do. And just like our script, the messaging gets a little bit more like teeth into it as it goes. Like the first one's like, Juliana, question mark. And the second one's like, hey, Juliana, are you still there? Juliana, is everything okay? Right. And then like there's the final message is like, hey, Juliana, I feel like I messed up. And it gets into a whole explanation and they're like, no, you didn't mess up. Sorry. I was just getting my teeth pulled for 4 days in a row. Right. Or something like that. And they come right back. So we do them in that. And that's been working really well. You'd rather use our CRM or not, just figure out a system, guys, that you can follow up with people every 30 days automatically, where it's done by automation. And computers are pretty cool, guys, and they could do some really great things. You shouldn't be doing that manual stuff that you can get a computer to do for you automatically. And there's separate sections. So if you are in our special section where we really like you, maybe we'll follow up a little bit more often, right? So we look at that too. But the ultimate time wasters, I'm still following up with you 30 days, every 30 days until they say stop. Then I erase them. Or actually, my son, my 8-year-old, goes through our CRM, and anybody who says stop, he knows to erase them for us. And then here's the next thing, guys, too. My 8-year-old, when he wants a new toy, one of these little stuffed animal toys, they cost $10 on Amazon. He has a YouTube channel, Wolfie Boy on YouTube. Check it out. He's got way more views than we do. He kills us on views. But when he wants a new stuffed animal for his YouTube channel, he knows he doesn't just get them. He's got to work for us. So my CRM automatically follows up with people, but I also turn it on manual, turn it off, and I let my 8-year-old go do it. And all my 8-year-old does, and I think I've told you some of this before too, he just goes into our CRM, looks up everybody we've talked to since the beginning of this year. And if they haven't responded to us in a while, he just goes in there and just messages them. Ready for this, guys? Their first name with a question mark. That's it. First name with a question mark. If it's Ron question mark. And then he moves on to the next one. He does that repeatedly for everybody. And it takes him probably about 2-3 days. So he gets a stuffed animal and he already orders it. So I mean, like, hey, cool. On the end of your 3rd shift, you get to order your stuffed animal right on Amazon. Here's the phone. Go get at it. That's what he does. And I will tell you what, that one thing will turn, our CRM just goes crazy. So I have to alert my team, hey, my 8-year-old's doing a follow-up. So anticipate we're going to get a lot of leads turned back up. And then when they do, Michelle, my virtual assistant, says, hey, I know we chatted before about seller financing. Is that still blah, blah, blah? And then if they say yes, we get them over to Lexi. Lexi does the magic, right? So great question. That's how we do that. Brian, would you be available to 101 if I'm a local one day? Yeah, we do local meetups here in Bradenton. Actually, guys, I'm going to ring the bell. We're going to the Bigger Pockets thing that's going on next week. I convinced my wife we're going. We got our assistant coming with us. We're bringing the kids. So BPCon, we're going to be there Monday, Tuesday next week. We're going to take the kids to Universal Park while we're there. So that's a big win too. But we also host local meetups right here in Bradenton, which is between Tampa and Sarasota. And we also go to a lot too. So if you're semi-local, let's connect, guys. We do these for free. It doesn't cost any money. We just want to be able to meet everybody, talk about strategies, what's working, how can we all make money together. That's why we host these. And so if you are in the, and guys, we've had people from all over Florida. We had somebody drive from Georgia, 7 hours one way to come to our meetup. So I would say they're that awesome, but they are. So if you're not too far and you want to come down, please come on down. Eventually, we're going to do more of a resort style meetup for like a couple day thing too, where we're going to offer, which is going to be really cool too. Did you ever buy anything in the Charlotte, North Carolina? The market here is still insane. You know what? I know we actually, are you here right now? Because one of my clients has a deal just outside of Raleigh in the Tech Triangle on a 1-year-old house. It is turnkey, absolutely beautiful. Only challenge is it looks like it's going to only work for maybe a homeowner because the lady's mortgage payment, the seller, is like 2,200 with taxes and insurance, and it looks to only rent for about that because she recently just bought it like a year ago. But I mean, this house is just gorgeous. So yes, we have done deals. We have found deals there before. We're still getting deals done there. The trick is to find off-market properties and ask them the right questions. And yes, there's deals all over North Carolina. Brian, what is your strategy when a seller has a ton of equity only after 2 years and they want to access that? You know what? I just tell them I'm not your buyer, Brian. Honestly, in some situations, if they need top dollar and they need all cash and they need it now because they need that equity, I just let them know, have you considered selling with a realtor? I mean, I'd love to buy it, but if you need all that cash now, I'm probably not going to work out for me because I typically buy with no money down. Okay. So if we were to make a deal happen, how close to zero down can we get? And I try to make that deal work. You mentioned you have recordings of prospect calls. Yeah, I think that's in our YouTube channel. It should be right on there. I know we got a bunch on there. Same thing with our Creative Finance Playbook with Jenn and Joe Facebook group. Guys, I would just turn the camera on and do live seller calls. I mean, there are a ton of them on there. You'll hear deals that we've made where we now own those properties right on there. So go to our Facebook group. I think there's some in our YouTube channel, but there's a lot in our Facebook group. Toggle up to like a March-ish this year. It's all on there. And there's a bunch on there too. And there's some really, really good ones, some objections that we handled. So it's all on there. The seller calls are on, yep, on their YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Juliana. Same thing with our Facebook group too. It's all on there. What's the name of the service? Alexis. Oh, for background checks. It's called screenthetenant.com. Screenthetenant.com. They have a website that looks like it was built in 1995. I tell me it's newer than that. Don't look it. I'm not picking on Paul and his team, but boy, can they do a newer one. But if it's working, it's working, right? You don't need a newer one. But that's a great website to use, where we use for all of our renters. We've been doing that for the last 6-7 years. And it's been great. Dane, gotta run. Love to catch up on assignment fees later. Thanks. Thank you for coming. Download available. Yes. Actually have some sub 2 deals for assignment right now. Joe. Yes. So, Dylan, post those in our Facebook group, please. The Creative Finance Playbook with Jenn and Joe. Post them right on there. Of starting, assignment fees starting at. Post all the information you can in there. Please, please, please do. That's what our Facebook group's there for, guys. Why we have it. It's for deals to be shared. There are some Facebook groups out there who are great. There are some that stink and they don't let you share deals. Like, no, I want people to make money. I want people to do deals. I'm a deal maker. So if you've got deals and you've got them under contract and you want to assign them, please, guys, make sure you drop those deals in our group, because we have like almost 5,000 people And a lot of them are looking for these deals in that group. So if you have a good deal and you locked one up, that's the place we post ours. And I hope you do too. So full access, please have at it. But I'd also check out, there's like Seller Finance Homes group that's got like 90,000 people in it. We've done some business there. Pace Mortgage group is great. We've done some business there too. But I love ours because everybody in that group is looking for those deals. So please, once again, have at it. Can you flip the mortgage question and say, I'm assuming you have the house paid off? They will correct you and tell you that's exactly what they owe. I mean, you could do anything for sure. And I'm sure it all works. Everything does work, unless you're like I said, insulting their kids. So yeah, you could try that. For me, I just like to ask, what do you want on the mortgage? What do you want on the property? Just simple, no questions asked. And then just say, I don't owe anything, or I owe this, or I owe about that. But yeah, you could certainly try it. By using owner financing, do sellers enjoy capital gains advantages? So yes and no. I mean, if it's seller selling your primary residence, unless they're making over 250 profit from what they bought it for compared to what they're selling it for, if they're single, and over 500 if they're married over that, that's when they would get hit on the capital gains on the amount over. So I just really say that there's some situations where sellers really like this, but check with your accountant and they can walk you through it, because I'm not an accountant, folks. And I really try to stay out of the whole capital gains unless you're dealing with an investor. We had an investor in Florida who bought all these properties like in 2009 when the market was really crashing for like 30,000. Like he bought them for 30,000. He wants 150 for each one of them. And he says, hey, I'll do it for 150 if you give me $30,000 down. And I already knew why. I was like, well, because you want to pull out your initial investment of 30,000 without having to pay the capital gains tax on that. And all the other money that comes in, you only pay tax on the payments received that year. So if I give him $1,000 a month times 12 payments, he's only going to pay tax on 12,000 that year versus the whole, profit of 120. So yes, if I'm dealing with investors, I definitely say, hey guys, there's a lot of reasons why investors love selling their properties this way, because it helps them with their taxes. Check with your accountant and they can walk you through what that would look like. But people are loving this. Isaac, can I please repeat my Facebook post again? Yes. When I go into the Facebook groups, garage sale groups, whatever groups, instead of hitting like something for sale, I actually post discussion, because I'll let you post a discussion in those for sale groups. So it doesn't come up like I'm selling this post, or a pair of sneakers. I hit discussion, which just makes me do a regular post. And then I write, does anyone have a house for sale that's not market ready? I'm looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And sometimes I change it up. My wife and I are looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I will tell you that that single post has made us millions, and other people's tons of money. So please use that. Tuesday Light Landscapers are here, guys. Just got your link screen, tenants, buyers. I'm sending it into you for buyer. Awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much. If you're paying a lender directly and not through a servicing company, do you do it through ACH? If so, isn't it a red flag for the lender if the name on the bank account is different than the owner? Nick, we set up an automatic payments. I believe it's ACH. No, the lender doesn't care who's making the payment. They're just going to see that the money is coming in and they write them out for what account. I could walk into the bank right now and make your car payment, and the bank's going to tell me, thank you. Right? If I have your account number and I have your whatever payment amount, they will take my money, take anybody's money. If all of a sudden Juliana has that mega jackpot tonight and she's feeling graceful, and she's like, you know what, I'm making everybody's car payment, send me your thing, they'll take all of her money. Okay, guys. So good luck. I hope you win. Joe, when you have a wrap agreement with a seller and are moving to close, how quickly do you begin marketing your lease to buy option? What channels are you using to market it? Great question. So Alexis, when I have a deal under contract, the minute I have it under contract and I know I'm going to keep it, that sucker goes up right away. Coming soon, available November 1st, if that's closing, right? Rent to own, this is what I'm doing. I market it right away. Nothing better than going to the closing table to where you just bought a property. And then an hour later, your renter is now giving you a huge check for renting that property too. Right. So I do it right away. What channels? I'm going on to our rent to own page. Jen and I created a rent to own group called 585 Rent to Own. We put it in there. I put it in local garage sale groups. So if it's the town of Cranston, wherever, right? I'm going to join Facebook groups in the town of Cranston, and I'm going to put rent to own available, blah, 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 put all the good stuff in there. And I will have more people reach out to me than I could imagine. I will also put it on Zillow as a rental. I will put it on Craigslist as a rental. Watch out though, on Craigslist, scammers are on there and they will steal your post. So I watermark it all. I watermark every single one of those. You could either do your phone number. I could do like 585 rent to own off every one of them because they will jack your stuff and they constantly do. So I watermark every one of them because Craigslist is wild. I do that. And then the last part, guys, I do is I actually buy these big yellow signs that are about this big and I put rent to own. I do it in handwritten, big, gigantic black Sharpie marker. I don't think I have any in here. I get the big old daddy ones and I write handwriting. People do not want to see the pretty sign. They like the ugly handwritten signs. I'm telling you, it sounds crazy. This is maybe why we do so well, because my handwriting looks like trash and they love it and they call all the time. Now we have other people do it who've got much nicer handwriting. And I think my uglier handwriting pulls better. So don't try to make it like all professional. Rent to own, bad credit, okay, phone number. Bad credit, no banks, phone number. All the biggest thing they want to see is rent to own. I might put 2-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house, bad credit, okay. Your phone's going to ring. So I recommend if you're going to do that, who's going to answer those calls? We use a service called Pat Live. It costs about $300 a month. Pat Live gives you 250 minutes. They have basically like college students who answer the phones. I think they're based out of Texas. Phenomenal. You call my Pat Live number at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, don't matter. They answer the phone every time and they ask you the questions that we tell them to ask. My ticker just quit. Do you guys sell your CRM? So Dylan, yeah, we have our CRM that we have. It's not ours, but it's one that we've customized. We could share the link with that, and I'll put it in our group, the Create a Finance Playbook. So we'll say, hey guys, here's the link for the CRM that we use, and it's through Go High Level. We use a company that helps us build it all out. Then after we built it all out, it's ours, and then we went in and customized some other fields. So if you use our link, you actually get our customized one, and that's why we offer ours. I think they give us like 15 cents. So if you do use ours, thanks for the 15 cents. Maybe it's 25 cents, not a whole lot, but the benefit is you get our link. So like you'll see the psycho sequence ones in there and all the cool stuff. So when we chase you down, it's all in there. What systems do you use for your drip campaigns, Colleen? It's right inside of our CRM. What system to use? It's through Go High Level. Any chance you'll do a meetup next week or next weekend? Brian, I could tell you when our meetup is. It's not next week. It is the 24th of October, 2 weeks from today. We'll be doing that here in Bradenton, Brian. I'm here, but I can't move out of Charlotte. Well, then we got to find you a deal in Charlotte. There's tons of them out there, for sure. What's the trick when converting someone who wants a lump sum into selling them on years of small payments? They just have to be flexible. Here's one key phrase that I use, Don. It's been really helpful. Mr. Seller, is just a delayed cash sale for full price. So if you're a little flexible on when I could pay you, I'm paying top dollar for the house. It's just a delayed cash sale for full price. So I don't have to like trick them. I just say, you know, obviously I'd buy your house, but the way I can make that work and pay that kind of price for it is by me giving your equity and payments. And then maybe I don't have to do it for years, like 30 years or 20 years. Can we do it for like 10 and then I'll just pay off like a big chunk then? You know, so we could look at stuff like that. Deal number 2. Seller financing, multifamily, 5 units, legally only 3 units. Price is 400,000, ARV is 200,000, down payment 100 grand. Rent as is 3,400, rent remodeled 4,500 interest rate 8%, no loan, seller sells, he's in decent shape. Okay, so you'd have to figure out what your monthly payments are, but if you're borrowing 100 grand down, which is 25% down, I know they're giving you some free equity here, but it's not legally a 5 unit. So basing the value, are you basing off the 5 unit potential or legally the 3 unit? Because those are two things. For second, where's the win in it for you? So my buddy David, if you're going to buy this deal, how are you going to make money? That's my always question, right? So if I'm going to buy it for 100 grand, I got to come up with to borrow 300 grand at an 8% interest rate plus pay the taxes and insurance. If I'm renting it for 3,400 to 4,500, what's my payment? Am I going to make any money doing that? It's in decent shape. Love that. So for me, I'm going to really work that seller down on, I could do this, but maybe I need to be closer to zero money down. But that interest rate's a killer at 8%. And here's why I love you guys as investors, but I hate buying houses from investors. None of you aren't like this, I'm sure. I know I would be though. But here's the thing: investors want high prices, they want high rates and things like that. That's why I generally specialize in investors if they have under 4 properties, because maybe they just bought like 1 or 2 rentals and they're just ready to sell. Versus when I run into the guy who's got 56 properties and they want to sell each one of them. Those are the typical people who want, 9% rate and they want points and they want 100 grand down, 20% down. So, to buy a deal at 8%, to put 25% down, I mean, any bank is offering that right now. So where's the advantage in that deal? I know you said the ARV is 600, but is that once again basing it off a 5 unit or basing off the legal 3 unit? Because I'm basing off the legal 3 unit. So a couple of questions there. I like that. I assume they have been responsible. How long is the wait for the mentorship? I put my email on the list about a month ago and I'm still waiting. Should I do it again? Here's what I'll do. I'll have somebody reach out to you. If you could just shoot me a message, please. I do apologize. I did go on Bigger Pockets podcast. Guys, it wasn't like we were looking to eventually even got into that. We had a couple of our clients that we were coaching for the last few years do really, really well. And they were on Bigger Pockets long before we did. So when we went on there, I put my cell phone number on there. And when I did, and this is not an exaggeration, I literally have received over 1,000 messages. I mean, text messages, phone calls, 2 o'clock in the morning, all day, all night. They just come pouring in. It's a blessing. It's a cool thing. But I am personally reaching out to everybody myself. And that's a lot of time. Like, holy cow. So just shoot me a message and we'll get you put right to the front. Nick, you are correct. They did warn me. Part of what you didn't see is they actually stopped the podcast during that spot. And they're like, hey, dude, like, be careful. The last guy who put his phone number on there, he called us. It says it's 5 years later and he's still getting phone calls. And I said, well, I'm going to be doing deals in 5 years from now because I'm still young. So here it is. And been a little wild. But I love it. I love it. We're able to help people. I've gotten so many cool text messages from people who are complete strangers who said, I just did my first deal because of, the blue ad, and I downloaded your script and I have a deal under contract. We've had some clients who've got their primary residence. We've had clients who've just made their very first deal after being in our coaching program for 5-6 weeks. Really, really cool stuff. I got a bunch more writing up deals currently. So I love that, guys. I'm a deal maker and I love helping people get a deal. And my whole thought process, and Jenn is the same way. We are definitely go-givers and I love to help people. And we want to train you how to get deals like this on your own. So if Joe and Jenn ever get kidnapped by aliens, because we've all learned that it could be a real thing now, we want you to learn how to do this. We want you to learn how to get these leads for free, how to analyze deals, and you do a bunch of deals before you get kidnapped by aliens too, right? And then if we do all get kidnapped, we're all hanging out together. So there we go. So yes, we'll get you moved right up. That explains why you didn't text me back on Saturday, David. Yes, that is probably why. My phone, I have to charge it. It's on the charger right now. I mean, I have to charge my phone. It's a new phone, but I still charge it probably 2 to 3 times a day because this thing does not stop. But it's cool. I guess I'm lucky for that. So, all right, cool, guys. Sorry we went extra over today, but we missed last week. I was sick as a dog. When we came back from that meetup, I had coronavirus. No big surprise. And then Jenn had it. And Monday, I felt like I got hit by a Mack truck. And then she felt like that like 2 days later. So we do thank you guys for coming in. And we were missing you. I will certainly say that. I hate missing Tuesdays. So I'm glad we could connect. So guys, please, if you got any more questions, shoot them our way. I got a couple of you we're going to be reaching out to. A couple of you are going to be reaching out to me. Just shoot me a message and I will get you bumped up and we'll get you on that call with me this week. And I'm excited. So guys, have a wonderful Tuesday. Keep rocking. One thing we always talk about, how can we help people one day at a time? Put out your marketing. We track by KPIs. One of my coaches, Russ Whitney, taught us a long time ago. Hire great people. Train them what to do. Get the heck out of their way and manage them through KPIs, key performance indicators. That's what we do, guys. And I will say in our coaching program, we only love to work with A+ players. We are not accountability coaches. If I was in that mastermind 2 weeks ago, and I told half anybody in that room, you need an accountability coach, they'd take it as an insult because none of them need to be called and be told what time to go wake up. Did you wake up on time? No, they don't need that. A+ players just need to be told what to do and get out of their way and let them just go have at it. So how we manage our own team, how we manage when we're working with clients, guys, we want to work with A+ players. We're going to teach you what to do. We're going to get out of your way and we're going to help you manage what you're doing by your KPIs. What does that mean? How many leads did you generate in a week? How many folks did you talk to on the phone? How many deals are you making? And I could instantly tell by just those 3 questions the health of your business. And what Ron LeGrand taught me is, guys, if you don't have incoming leads coming in, you don't have a business. So we start there, easy peasy. And I'm telling you how to do it for free without having to pay me or Jen, without having to spend a dime. Join these Facebook groups, guys. You can make millions of dollars just on Facebook by just sharing in these Facebook groups. That simple post. Don't do the poop emoji, do the different color background emojis on it, like red, pink, whatever you like, and post it in the groups. And consistency is key. If you do it 2, 3, 4, or 5 times a week, every single week, you will have off-market leads. You could generate 25 leads a week for free. It's 100 leads of off-market properties a month that didn't cost you a dime for free, guys. And nobody's giving that stuff away. Everybody you got to learn that stuff for, you got to pay for, but even the guys you're paying for don't know how to do that for free. So we're giving to you for free. Please go do it. Get the results, go to our website, get our script, or use whatever one you want, but ours is better. Go get our script, use that, have the sellers make you some offers, guys. And if you have a deal and you don't have the cash or you got it and they say yes, but you need some help taking it down, find somebody like myself or me and take that deal down. Partner up, get some money in your pockets, and then start your business, guys. Because I will tell you, yesterday was my birthday. And as the older you get, the less stuff you want. And it's not what you get, it's what you already got. And I got what I wanted. I got to walk away from my job. I got to make more money now than I ever have in my life. I got to spend more time with my family doing the things that I want to do. And I love giving back to you guys. I love it, love it, love it. I had to do a personality index and giving back was like so far off the charts. Like Sharper Solutions, Gary and Susan were like, whoa. So I'd love to be able to do that, guys. So I'd love to help you too. So if you need anything, you got a deal, please send it over. And thank you for being so patient while my phone blows up. It'd be busy. So other than that, guys, court's adjourned. Have a great Tuesday and we'll see y'all next week. All right. Have a good one, guys. We'll see you then.